is an unrehearsed program. The views expressed are those of the guests and not necessarily those of the producer. Today's topic:
Mission Impossible in Passion for Truth, award-winning programs.
Welcome to another edition of Passion for Truth. Keith Allison is the first Muslim elected to Congress who is using a Quran for his swearing-in ceremony. Some critics have argued that only a Bible should be used for the swearing-in. Is it a threat to American values? We'll ask our panelists next. Dahir Mere Jibril, Permanent Secretary, International Cooperation in Somalia. Reverend Dr. Keith Redrick, Washington, Representative of Christian Solidarity International. George Nestrocek from the management consulting firm Nestrocek and Associates, former staff director for the U.S. House of Representatives. Mr. Nestrocek is originally from Ukraine and has first-hand knowledge of consulting with the governments of Ukraine on major policy issues. Retired Ambassador Jonathan Dean, advisor on international security issues, affiliated with the Union of Concerned Scientists, and Dr. Joseph Annunziata with expertise on international affairs. As a former professor, Dr. Annunziata was an advisor to the Assistant Secretary of Defense on international issues. He was also a senior staff member at the White House. Welcome you all.
Thank you.
Starting with you, Dahir, he found himself under attack when he announced he would take his oath of office on the Quran.
I think the people who question it that he is swearing on the Quran, maybe they had no record that there was plenty of presidents before, that there were members of the Congress who swore on other religious allegiances before him, and there was nothing different unless they haven't knew before. There is nowhere in the Constitution of the United States that it says only the Bible is the religion or somebody can swear on when they are taking oath of office. And I think that was some sort the people who questioned the swearing on the Quran didn't understand, or maybe it was the first time they have seen this.
Is it, Reverend, a threat to American values?
Well, I think in this particular case, there was a lot of attention on Keith Ellison as the first Muslim elected to Congress. But, there are other firsts this time. There were two Buddhists for the first time elected to Congress, one from Hawaii, and I believe the other was from Georgia. And there was very little attention given to the fact that these two members were the first in their respective religions as well. And I think in terms of the swearing-in process, I've been a public elected official, and in the swearing-in process, it was a matter of pledging loyalty to the Constitution and recognizing the laws of the state and the United States. And I think in terms of the swearing-in ceremony with the Bible or Quran or whatever religious text is a personal, symbolic event. And I think what was at play here was the symbolism of the moment. And I think at this point in time of our history, it is the recognition that there is a challenge to the United States and to American values by the rising Islam and more Islamic fundamentalism or Islamism. And I think that perhaps is what focused people's attention. But it was a personal matter. I don't think it was a threat. I think if there is to be a threat, I think a person's judgment on their policies and what they produce and in terms of their legislative positions towards the government is going to be what should be measured and examined more carefully. And I think with Keith Ellison, there's plenty of room to be critical of his past in regards to his associations as well as his political statements.
What's your take, George?
I think Mr. Ellison is a very smart politician, very capable politician. There was a lot of attention focused on this because he chose to have it focused. As the Reverend pointed out, there were a couple of Buddhists who also were sworn in, and No one paid notice, and I don't think they particularly cared to have special notice paid to them for that. They were just part of 435 other members being sworn in. But Mr. Ellison wanted to make an issue of it, and he got a lot of play for it. Now that he's in the spotlight, of course, people will be perhaps more critical about what it is that he does in the job. That's the downside of a lot of exposure and publicity. Yeah. He should be held accountable now for the job that he does. It has absolutely nothing to do with his religion.
Was there a fear, Ambassador Dean, among the general public that perhaps one day he could become one of Osama bin Laden in terms of endorsing suicide bombers, things like that, people who were unfamiliar with the past records of the swearing-in ceremonies, etc.?
Well, maybe there was such a fear, but the representative from Virginia who brought the complaint or raised the complaint seems to me to have been acting in a armed and bigoted fashion. I think we've heard enough about this from the other members of the panel to realize it's not an exceptional behavior. And I heard Mr. Ellison speaking on C-SPAN. He seemed to me to be relatively rational, new representative, and so I think this was an overdrawn exercise. Perhaps he added to the publicity, but maybe there is a lesson that this kind of appeal to the deity should be open to everyone according to his own convictions.
Joe Willie, do you suspect that he might make Quran an inspiration for his public life that in such a way that it might interfere with the U.S. Constitution?
I don't think so. Not any more than President Kennedy said, I'm a Catholic, but my responsibility is to uphold the laws of the United States. I do think, however, that it's very significant that this swearing-in preference was brought to a head, because it indicates to me a debate which has been going on in this country probably for the past 10 years as to whether or not this is a Christian country and therefore Christianity should dominate. I think it's now becoming more and more apparent that our Constitution does not grant to any one particular religion a monopoly. There's no state religion. So it could be Buddhist, it could be Protestant, it could be Catholic. And so the people need to think about this and need to understand and recognize that this is a pluralistic society with regard to ethnicity as well as with regard to religion. And the more we see other religions, we have Mormons, they probably swear on the Book of Mormon, they do. Any of them, any of these religions. And when you swear, actually what you are saying is giving your word to uphold the laws of the country, and you're giving your word in conjunction with another power that will testify to the honesty of your statement. I mean, you can swear on your mother, your dead mother, I suppose. Anything that you say, this is my witness, that what I say, what I am promising to do, God is my witness, or the Quran is my witness, or whoever you wish, that you, in fact, mean what you say.
You know, let me make a comment here. The swearing in is not on the Bible. The swearing in is just holding up your hand, and you take an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Which they did.
Which they did. And that's the public ceremony. The private ceremony that every member goes through for personal reasons, for publicity reasons, that's where an article such as a Bible is brought in. And it's a reflection of, as Joel said, tying yourself to something that others can relate to as, you know, if you believe in this instrument here, then I swear by all of the values that are represented in this instrument that I as an individual am true to my word. That's the symbolism of that aspect. It's not a religious ceremony at all. So if someone believes that the Quran represents the values that they want to share with everyone, and if you believe what's in this book, the Quran, then you can believe me. I'm swearing by that. Or whatever other instrument one chooses. That's all that represents. It's an attempt to communicate to people that you will faithfully execute your responsibility.